Hey everybody, thanks for joining us for another live video on Facebook and YouTube. I'm Randy here in the Eastwood garage. Today we're talking about welding essentials. So of course we've got Matt with us, who you've seen in many of our videos. And as always, if you have any questions, make sure you ask them in the comment section, post them, and Scotty C's over there, and he's going to be answering them for you or throwing them back to us so we can take care of you. So Matt, what are we talking about today?
So we put together a list. We talk about welding a lot, but I decided to put together a few of my favorite welding accessories, things that I use a lot in the shop, and some things that are kind of handy when you're in a tough situation. And just so you guys, if you're not aware, you don't have them, figured we'll throw them out there and just run through a few of our favorites.
Yeah. Briefly, we got a light, a cool copper magnet if you were watching us live a few weeks ago, welding blankets, a new one and an old one, some clamps, some magnets. We'll show you these things. They're pretty powerful. And of course, welding helmets, which I guess is what we're going to start with. Yeah,
so so as far as the welding helmets go, if you guys are welding in this day and age, with it being so affordable, you really need to have an auto darkening helmet. These are kind of our two most popular. We have our standard view, and then we have our XL view helmet, which is my favorite helmet. This helmet has a couple extra features on top of being, quite the viewing range being quite large. Maybe Joe can get in here. A really cool thing on this one that saves you flipping up the helmet is it has a little grind feature on it, which is pretty cool. So you don't have to flip your helmet up and down if you need to quick grind something or adjust something. You can leave it on the grind setting and you can work. Your eyes are safe. And then you can flip it back up and turn it to your normal setting.
Like you were TIG welding, you got to do tungsten or something.
Yeah, you can just leave it flipped down. You can do that no problem.
So it goes from like a 4 to 13 shade too, it looks like.
Yeah, I think on this particular one, to get between those, there's a setting here on the inside, which probably will be tough for you guys to see. We got a pretty good zoom, but it's probably hard to see that. But there's a little switch here where you can switch it between the two ranges. I usually keep mine on the lower range because a lot of stuff I do is lower amperage, and that covers most of the stuff. But if you're just doing some higher amperage stuff, 200 amps, aluminum, things like that, you can flip it up and you can turn to a brighter shade. But yeah, this is probably one of our best helmets. My favorite. It has extra adjustability on the top that some of the lower end helmets don't have, so you can get that adjustment so how far it sits on your head. Is really nice, so it's not flopping off your head or falling down on you, so you have that. But auto dim helmet is probably the most obvious thing.
It makes it so easy because instead of having to do the typical head bob and then try to hope you kept your hands in the right spot, when you can see right through it. It's an instant you strike the arc. And it has all the settings so you can do the delay so it goes right. But back to how large the view is. We actually have some footage that shows the comparison, so you can actually see it's at least twice the size. So you can see right there, looking at your Model A, how much more you can see with a large view helmet. So that way, if you're underneath of it welding, you don't got to you're trying to strain your head, you can see a lot easier. And we've got, I was just looking today, we've got about 100 5-star, nearly 100 5-star reviews on that helmet, and we've just got a lot of great customer reviews on that extra large view helmet. So it is actually probably at this point like our most popular, the most popular helmet we sell.
Yeah, I don't know any reason. I mean, other than the price, that's pretty much there's no reason you should have a small view on there other than if you're trying to save some money, But so yeah, that's probably our favorite. We have our standard view, which is really affordable. Has not quite as many settings, but it still gets the job done. It still has the sensitivity and everything. But if you want to step up, especially if you're doing some TIG welding, this one's probably the best one to have for that. So that's the most obvious one we have. The next one we have over here, we have our
welding blankets.
Welding blankets. So
when they're new, that's what they look like.
Yeah. So when they're new, they're nice and pretty. This is our virgin plasma blanket or fiberglass blanket.
But we broke one out because we have them that we've been using around here. We've been in this garage for I think almost 4 years. So this blanket has probably been with us almost that 4 years.
That whole time. Probably.
And you can see, I mean, for as much as we do in here, they really hold up, and they get used for plasma cutting as well as welding. And I mean, you were using it in Model A. We got footage of using it in the Model A. If you watch our videos, you see it a lot. So no matter where You know, not just out here. We use it out here a lot, but you know, if you're in a car, it's great too.
Yeah, this is good, especially if you're doing something. You know, where I use them a lot is if I'm doing floors on a car that still has a partial interior in it. You can throw these blankets in, cover up maybe some of the interior, so that if you do get a stray MIG spark or grinding spark, it's not going to start your whole interior on fire. So you can put them over. But a lot of the damage that's on that is probably from some heavy, like direct contact, the plasma cutting.
Yeah, plasma cutting will. Yeah, it's not. Most of it's not from welding.
No, but they're still held up fine. You know, obviously kept it from anything happening. But yeah, we have a good video of the Model A when we were cutting out the floors and I was channeling it, where you could see it. You know, we're cutting right on top of that thing to keep kept the blanket down, and it worked awesome. So I usually like to have a couple of these laying around. Like I said, for inside of vehicles, it's good. Get 2-3 of them. You can hang them and you can lay them down, and they work really well for that. So we do have a shot there where you can see
plasma cutting.
Yeah, plasma cutting out the floor when you're channeling the Model A, and you can see how close the blanket is to the danger area, and it did pretty good. So
if you're into that Model A, we got all kinds of videos. Like putting floors in, trans tunnel.
Yeah, doing the chassis. We even show how to build. If you guys want to build your own chassis table from scratch, I went to a scrap metal yard and got supplies for under $500 and built a chassis table that'll last the rest of my life.
And then the chassis.
Yeah, and then we built a chassis on it. So just search that up on our channel. If you search Model A, you can see all those different, or Hot Rod, you can see a lot of those different builds on there. So that's the plasma blanket, or the welding blanket. Like I said, grab a few of those. They're pretty inexpensive item to have.
Yeah.
So now as far as getting into the clamps and things like that, these are ones that when we came out with them, I couldn't think of a use off the top of my head, but now that I have them in my box, I probably grab them more oftentimes than not. So we have these little, we call them pinch weld clamps, but they're mini welding clamps. The cool thing about these, they have these little metal jaws on them, and they have a ton of strength to them.
Yeah, it's like 250 pounds of clamping strength.
So if you're pulling together, an edge of a panel that you need it to be really tight, and maybe it doesn't fit perfectly, you can pull a panel together really nicely with this. I usually, most common thing I use it for is something like we have here, which we'll get in these magnets in a bit, but on the ends here, where I need to keep these ends clamped tight so that the panel doesn't move around when you're tacking it in place, you can use these clamps and we can tighten them down on here. And they come in packs and sets of 4.
Yeah.
Yep. So you can...
I use them at the end of a table even. Like if you get, because they'll open to about ½ an inch. They open really wide.
Yeah, surprisingly they do.
Yeah, they open really wide, so you can clamp a fair amount. So sometimes you're doing something here near the edge. And they're nice because they're not like a big C clamp, so they're not
in the way. Yeah, you're right. I do probably use them a lot for tack welding and setting things up because they're not so bulky, where the big C clamps are trying to figure out how to get in between them.
And we've used them in the Camaro, the Corvair, the Model A, pretty much every project we have around. You definitely see these things get used a lot.
So I would suggest I probably have 2 or 3 sets of these, because there is times where these are kind of like Clecos for me, where they end up living on a project car until it's done. So grab a few sets of them so you can have them, maybe mocked up on a car, and then you can also have them in the box for doing little one-off projects. But those things are really cool. You can find them on our site. So probably my favorite thing that we're going to show today, next thing, is this little Mig Light that we sell. I know it sounds silly, but I feel like every time I'm welding, I never have enough light. So we have this little Mig Light that we offer that's got an extremely bright light on the end of it. And this is pretty much a universal fit, so you don't have to have an Eastwood MIG welder to have this light. It's got this little adjustable rubber.
It's really flexible.
Yeah, so you could fit this over really any MIG welder gun here. So we'll show you on this. So what you do, you can either put it on the top here, and I'll show you in a car in a second, or you can put it underneath, depending on what you're doing. But to fit it on, it's pretty simple. So if you want to put it underneath, just put that guy around like that, and then you can adjust it to actually fit exactly
actually
the
aim
angle.
right where you're.
Yeah. So
it just goes. Oh yeah, it's just.
Yep. So like, however you want it, whether you need to shine up above or below. But this is really handy. I mean, especially with a MIG welder, I feel like half the time your hand or the MIG gun torch is blocking half your light.
Yeah.
So you got this little light here that's going to direct it. And for the most part, as long as your welder settings are pretty good, the light itself isn't going to get too damaged. You know, over time it will. I have one that's probably 5 years old and it still works good other than putting batteries in.
It actually comes with two. You can replace. There's the glass lens here. It comes with a couple actually spares. So if you would get spatter on it and it'd take a beating, you get a couple spares so you can replace it and like new again.
I'm sure I lost mine. That's why I don't remember having this. Well, we got one set up in the Corvair here. This is Mark's Corvair project he's been working on, but this thing's a perfect example. We have really good light. We have really good lighting in this shop overall, but when you get under the dash, you can't see a darn thing. And even with our underhood light, it's hard to get the light, you know, if you're welding something up under the dash. So we got one right here on the MIG torch. So I'm going to click it on here, and you can see. Hopefully, you guys, I can direct it so you can see. Joe's going to kind of fish around a little bit and get the light. There you go. So you can see. I'm trying to watch as we get in there.
Yeah, you can see how bright it is right there.
Yeah, but I mean, you can see if we didn't have this light, I mean, it's pitch black under here. Imagine putting your even with an auto dim helmet down, you can't see a darn thing. Yeah, you wouldn't see good enough. Especially if you're doing floor pans and you're trying to see the seam that you're trying to weld. Next thing you know, if you don't have a light like that, next thing you know, you're off. You're just welding out in the panel somewhere. Yeah, exactly. So this is nice for under. You know, I use it a lot for under dash, or you know, doing repairs under car where you can't get a light underneath very well. So it's a nice quick thing you can clip on. I just leave it on my cart. One good thing, because I'm extremely forgetful, this has, I think it's an hour or something like that. It shuts off automatically after, I believe, an hour. That's off my memory. It might. I think
fact check that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I know it auto turns because my batteries aren't dead and I never remember to click it off. So that thing's really good. And,
do we have any questions, Scott?
Yeah, so far one of the questions we have is, it's not really related to all we have here, but definitely welding. What's the best way to pick a welding glove?
So the question was, what's the best way to pick a welding glove?
I think
size.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Make sure.
You know, that's something. We just got new welding gloves in, new MIG gloves, and I actually really like them for MIG welding. And we have them in a few sizes. I got small hands, so we have mediums, which fit me. But they're, we don't have, you know, we got the TIG gloves like we have there.
Yeah.
And we've got new MIG gloves in, which are around here, and they're a little bit thicker, but they're not like those huge industrial MIG gloves. Like you have these, now that I'm wandering around, where you have no dexterity at all. You know, you get no dexterity with those. But let me see. I'm going to wander around. I'll let Matt talk since
well,
that's the welder.
The gloves, I mean, obviously I like to use gloves that are as thin as possible when I'm welding.
Like I said, we just got them in. These are brand new.
Yeah, those are nice. These are nice because they have the extra thickness in the area where it isn't as dexterity isn't as important.
Yeah, for MIG welding, these are because you can actually still bend your hand. That's why when I got these, I really like these because these are just. This is when you're just going to weld and it's going to get hot. And
that's for fixing the fence out in the field on the range, you know. But if you notice these MIG gloves, they have a similar type of leather. On these areas where you may not get as much, you know, sparks or heat.
It's kid skin.
Yeah, kid skin.
Yeah. It's not as bad as it sounds, but that's what they're made of.
Hopefully we don't have any hippies that are mad about that. But yes, they are real leather. But they do have a similar leather here so that this area where it's not as hot, you have more dexterity. But on the backside here, it has a thicker, you know, some more to what you see with the stick welding gloves. in this area because that's where it's going to see all your sparks. So I pick a glove that's as thin as possible for the job I'm doing because I like the dexterity. But of course, if you're doing, if you're just doing stitch welding on sheet metal, you could probably get away with TIG gloves. But yeah, if you're doing any kind of heavy fabrication, you need something like that.
Yeah, you want to check out, if you just search MIG gloves or welding gloves at Eastwood, you'll see them. Yeah, but one of these, either the TIG or these new MIG gloves, they're both, they're both really nice. They're the ones we always use.
Yeah, that's great question. That's
anything else there?
Oh, good for right now.
Cool. All right. So I guess we'll.
So we have, so we showed this a little bit, I don't know, it was a few weeks ago maybe, before the holiday that we did a little demo, and we showed this tool here. And
we sell a few different kinds of copper backers. We sell like the magnet ones, the one that's a spoon that you have to hold.
Yep.
But this has an advantage over all of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that probably the only thing that some of the other ones have, is that better? There we go. That some of the other ones may have over this is this has a smaller copper area, but really if you got your panel set up correctly, it doesn't matter. You only need this much space.
Because you're usually just doing a pinhole or a plug weld, so something that's a.
Yeah, you don't necessarily need a 6-inch piece. So the cool thing about this, we have some magnetic ones that are a larger piece of copper. There's mixed reviews on how well they hold to the panel. I think they have their place, but if you get into something like on this, a common use would be like on here, there's some old repair here and there's some old holes on the panel, and if we wanted to plug weld those up, this, because of the angle and the shape of this panel, the ones that we sell are pretty much flat, and the way the magnets grab, they can't fully attach to the panel and they tend to slide off, or if you
start banging around trying to climb in there, they're going to end up falling off while you do that. And because it's here, and you're going to have to get in here to weld. The other ones, it's a spoon. You'd have to try to reach out here with one hand, and so you also can't use those either because you just can't be in two places at once.
Either that, or you're asking the wife or the toddler to put some gloves on and hold that for you, which is good. So the cool thing about this is it has a little adjustment screw here, which is cool. So you can make this fit a panel that's curved. By adjusting this screw here, it'll change the angle of the magnet and how the copper section touches. So it'll actually adhere a little better because it's conforming to the panel. So
and that magnet's really strong.
Yeah, the magnet is strong on this. So even there, it's only touching maybe an 1/8 inch of the magnet there. So we can adjust this down. I don't know, Joe, are you able to get close enough to see?
Yeah, I'll come in close.
So we got a couple holes here. So we could do this. We could do it on the inside, but it's hard to light it. So I'm going to show you on the outside here. So you put your little copper section over like that. Magnet touches. So from up top here, you can see we barely have any of the magnet touching there. And then what I can do is I can back that adjustment off and get that magnet so that we got it touching all the way. So it's touching all the way, but we still have a bunch of adjustment here. So this panel has some curve both ways, but it's still touching. The nice thing is,
it's not going anywhere.
It's not falling off. I mean,
part of the car fell off.
Yeah, we probably lost more of the car, but yeah. So now it's all set up. It's not going to bounce around. It's not going to slide. I mean,
and now you're free to just climb in the hood trunk, whatever it is on a Corvair.
Yeah,
the hood trunk where the engine is to weld those holes up.
Yeah. So this one is probably my favorite as far as for plug welding. This is the best one you can use because of the adjustability on it is really nice. So, and it's so easy to move around. Once we got this adjustment set, I mean, we can just move it to the next hole and keep going. So this one's, as far as plug welding holes go, this is.
It's cheaper than buying a bunch of beer to convince your friends to come over and hold a magnet for you while you weld up holes for a few hours.
Exactly.
Probably. So speaking of magnets.
Yeah, so magnets.
Remember when they brought these in a couple years? Were you skeptical like me? Like, oh, look at the cute little magnets.
Yeah.
And now, I think I own like 4 sets of them.
Yeah, I got a ton of these things. So these are rare earth magnets that you can get rare earth magnets that go from something small, like some of our copper backers have in them that are very small, to I'd say this is a mid-range, to something that's so incredibly strong you can't even pull it off of a piece of metal. The great thing about rare earth magnets is they are so strong in such a small little package. with these rare earth magnets and these, we call them stitch weld magnets, but what they allow you to do, there's a bunch of uses for them. My favorite is what I'm going to show you here is you can, if you're butt welding a panel, you can make sure that it's completely, let's see if I can get.
It's just completely touching.
Yeah, you can get it so that it bridges the gap and keeps everything nice and flat. So if you stagger these, we know that this butt weld, we don't have a valley in here. We have it perfectly flat and we're not going to be fighting it. So you can use this and you can stagger. You know, we can do a couple stitch welds here, jump, do a couple there, and then we can come back and move our magnets around. It's going to pull it. It's strong enough that it can pull sheet metal into shape.
A lot of panel holding systems go down in between and they hold them together, and a lot of people don't want that gap.
Yeah.
So this is going to make it butt up perfectly.
Yeah, you get that perfect fitment. It pulls it all together. The other thing is, because they're strong, you can see I can bend this piece here.
And it still holds it together.
It still holds it together.
Yeah, you don't. If you don't believe us, like really, we've got tons of great reviews on these products too.
Yeah.
Like there's people. It's amazing how strong these magnets are. I mean, they really have to be. Like I've seen ones that are about half this long.
Yeah.
If these were smaller, I don't think you'd ever get them off.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it takes. You need that leverage of these being whatever, half, 3/4 of an inch long. You need that leverage just to break them off sometimes. I've used them to hold, like I was telling you earlier, when I was boxing in a frame on a car, where I found that they're great is I had an 1/8 inch tubing where I was boxing in 1/8 inch, so it was on an angle, and there was no way I could clamp it because you got a flat surface here and an angled surface here, and the clamp wouldn't stay on. And I actually had about 6 or 8 of these magnets and just went along. So instead of a clamp, which wouldn't hold it, I ended up holding the 1/8 inch tubing about a box about that long, which is some of these magnets, and it held it perfectly. I mean, beyond the fact that I guess just holding sheet metal together, it actually replaced a clamp. It actually was able to replace a clamp because the clamp couldn't clamp on angled metal.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. I don't think I've ever even tried that before.
And then,
so we have another panel here.
Just show you how it'll hold up.
Yeah. So if you're another good thing is if you're shaping a panel or you're making a patch for this here, and you need to take it on and off the car a bunch of times and you want to test fit it, but maybe you don't want to drill holes for clecos in the car to have to fill holes. This thing is strong enough that you can hold a whole entire panel to it. So if I was making this piece on the English wheel, I could shape it, bring it over here with my 4 magnets, stick it on real quick. Okay, see how it fits. We can pull it off and keep going back and forth, and there's no clecos.
And that's a big patch.
Yeah, yeah, that's a pretty big patch, and the little magnets you see aren't gonna work. Some of the real cheap triangular shaped welding magnets, even though they're much bigger than this, no way would they hold this.
Strength.
So even with 4 of these, with one kit, you could hold a pretty large patch panel in place pretty securely.
I mean, I love them. I mean, it's sometimes they almost seem like they're too strong.
Yeah, we were joking about them earlier. I sometimes swear at them because they're too strong. If I'm doing a 90-degree weld joint, sometimes it'll want to jump to the other piece. So you got to be careful how you set them up.
Well, even like Mike Phillips, when he was here doing the demo on, when he was making the template on the fender, he used them to hold all of his paper in place when he was making a paper pattern.
Yeah.
So just beyond that, he was using it just to make to hold all the paper in place to make a pattern.
Yeah, so these things, again, these are all fairly inexpensive items that you can put in your shop that really help with fabricating. And it doesn't cost you a lot of money, but it's going to really help you step up your game and make your life easier when you're fabricating stuff. So
yeah, all this stuff it really helps.
But yeah, that's kind of my list of some of my favorites, especially as of late that I've been using. Do you have any other questions at all?
No, we're good.
Awesome.
And I guess don't forget Monday. We're now live. Our schedule is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We had been jumping around all over the place, but it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at 3. Monday we're doing we're putting brakes on a '79 Ford pickup truck with one of our product managers, Ryan.
Cool.
So Monday should be pretty good, and then we've got
tomorrow
more stuff with you on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Oh, I forgot about tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
Today's only Tuesday.
Yeah, today's Tuesday. Oh, geez.
So
we got tomorrow. Yeah, don't forget tomorrow with you.
Yeah, so tomorrow I did a tech article, I don't know, a few weeks back. If you guys are on our email list, I write tech articles, take photos. I made a Model A deck lid skin from scratch, and the skin's pretty much all fairly smoothed out, and I fixed an inner structure. So I'm going to show you guys how to rust proof and set up the welder and do spot welds to spot weld it all together. I'm going to use the new MP200 to use the spot timer, and I'll show you guys how we can go along and do all that. So that should be a fun one for you guys that are doing skins on doors or trunk lids. I just wanted to show you guys the process, how to set it up, and also how to prepare the panel, but, so that it doesn't rust in the future. So make sure you tune in tomorrow, 3 o'clock.
Tomorrow, 3 Eastern time.
Yes.
Because we're in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So, and don't forget, if you're interested in any of these products, there should be links on YouTube in the video description. On Facebook, they're going to be in the comment section. So you click on them, it'll take you to Eastwood, and you can get more info on all these products.
Cool.
So, I guess we'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right. Catch you guys later.